Everyone in the hangar froze the moment the captain shouted those words. The echo of "punch her in the jaw" slammed off the steel walls like thunder. And for a second, just a second, no one moved, because no one could believe what they'd just heard. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The smell of oil and salt filled the air. The sun beat down over the naval base in San Diego, reflecting off the rows of F-18s like mirrors. Recruits stood in perfect formation, boots clicking against concrete, sweat trickling down their necks. At the center stood Lieutenant Sarah Kane, the only woman in the unit, the first to ever make it through the grueling SEAL selection. Her face was steady, but inside, her pulse thundered like distant artillery. She had fought for years to earn this place. Sleepless nights, torn muscles, endless whispers behind her back. She won't last. She's only here because of politics. And now this, the captain, broad-shouldered, with a voice like gravel, had just ordered one of her teammates to hit her. "Do it, Private," he barked again. "Let's see what she's really made of." The young man hesitated, his fists clenched, jaw tight. His name was Dawson, barely 22, good-hearted, but too scared to defy a superior officer. Sarah didn't flinch. She didn't step back. Her voice came calm, almost cold. "Go ahead, Private. If this is how you test strength, I'm ready." A low murmur rippled through the ranks. The atmosphere shifted, sharp, electric, dangerous. When Dawson's fist finally came, it wasn't light. It cut the air like a bullet. But before it landed, Sarah's body moved, instinctively, flawlessly. She sidestepped, gripped his wrist, twisted, and in one fluid motion, sent him sprawling face down in the dirt. The air filled with the sound of boots shuffling, gasps breaking formation, and the dull thud of Dawson's body hitting the ground. Then silence. Only the wind moved, carrying the sound of distant gulls and the captain's ragged breathing. She hadn't just defended herself. She had done it with precision, with control, without malice, and that made it worse for him. The captain's face turned crimson. He stepped forward, boots crunching gravel. "You think this is a game, Lieutenant?" he growled. Sarah met his eyes, unwavering. "No, sir. But I think leadership isn't about humiliation." The words hit harder than any punch could. He stared at her for a long, burning second before turning away. "Dismissed," he said sharply. "All of you." But the recruits didn't move right away. They couldn't. Something had changed in that moment, something bigger than orders, because they'd just seen what real strength looked like. That night, alone in her barracks, Sarah sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her reflection in the small metal mirror. A faint bruise bloomed along her wrist where she'd caught Dawson's arm. She could still hear the captain's voice echoing. The disbelief, the anger. Part of her wanted to walk away, to finally quit after proving her point. But then she thought of the others watching today, the young recruits, the women in other branches who'd messaged her, saying, "You're why I'm trying." She couldn't quit. Not yet. The next morning, the captain called her into his office. He didn't yell this time. His tone was low, even, but sharp as a blade. "You embarrassed me in front of the entire team," he said. "You made me look weak." Sarah stayed still. "With respect, sir, I didn't make you look weak. Your actions did." His eyes narrowed. "You think you can talk to me like that?" "No, sir. I know I can. Because I earned the same trident you did." For a long moment, neither spoke. The air between them felt heavy, like a storm waiting to break. Then, surprisingly, he leaned back. A strange look crossed his face, something between resentment and reluctant respect. "You're not like the others," he muttered. "You don't scare easy." Sarah's voice softened. "Fear's part of the job. It's what we do with it that defines us." He didn't reply, just nodded once. A silent truce, unspoken but understood. Days turned into weeks. And that incident, the moment the captain yelled, "Punch her in the jaw," spread across the base like wildfire. Some said she overstepped. Others said she'd made history. But one afternoon, everything changed again. A distress call came from the coast. A capsized training boat with recruits trapped inside. The current was brutal, visibility near zero. Without hesitation, Sarah was the first to dive in. The water hit like ice. Waves slammed her helmet, choking salt filling her throat. But she pushed forward, kicking hard against the pull, following the faint glimmer of bubbles below. Through the murk, she spotted them. 3 recruits clinging to the overturned hull. One was Dawson, His lips were blue, his grip slipping. She surfaced long enough to shout for the rescue team, then went back under. Her lungs screamed. Her muscles burned. But she didn't stop. One by one, she guided them toward the surface, timing each move between crashing waves, using every ounce of training she had. And when the last recruit reached the boat, her own strength finally gave out. She sank, just for a second, before a hand pulled her up. The captain's he was there, drenched and panting, hauling her back into the boat with a strength born from something other than authority. When their eyes met, no words were needed. Back at base, as medics tended to the rescued recruits, the captain approached her quietly. "You saved my men," he said. "They were our men." "Sir," she replied. He gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. "You proved something today." She tilted her head. "What's that?" "That being a SEAL isn't about muscle. It's about heart." For the first time, he smiled, not the forced grin of rank or duty, but something real. That night, the recruits gathered in the mess hall. The room buzzed with laughter and stories, steam rising from metal trays. When Sarah walked in, the chatter dimmed. Then, a ripple of applause began. Dawson stood first, raising his glass. "To Lieutenant Kane," he said, "the one who taught us what strength really looks like." The cheer that followed shook the walls. Sarah blinked back tears she refused to let fall. Outside, through the window, the American flag fluttered against the golden sunset. Because courage isn't about who shouts the loudest. It's about who stands their ground when the world tells them to sit down. And sometimes, the echo of defiance is the sound of real change beginning to. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more powerful true stories, and tell me in the comments, what does courage mean to you? I'd love to hear your thoughts.